Hello, happy Wednesday. We'll give everyone a moment to get logged on. It takes a few minutes for everyone to be admitted into the system. Just wait until these logins level off. Happy hump day. It's hard to believe it's almost May 1st. I think we could all agree that we'd like to just cancel April from this year. We'll revisit it again next year.
You want an April do-over?
I want a do-over. My birthday was April 1st. That was not the most fun birthday I've ever had, I'll be honest, but
I hear you.
This too shall pass. It'll give us a reason to celebrate in May or June. Okay, so thanks everyone for joining us today. We're going to talk about a really important topic, patient communication and marketing. And it's one of the most important things that our offices can be doing right now. So I will pass it over to Jody Much, our district sales manager from Orange County. This topic is near and dear to her, and she's worked very closely with this partner to put together, excuse me, a presentation for you today.
Okay, good afternoon and welcome. We have two friends today from PatientPop. That we've got James Garib, and he is going to talk to us about basically optimizing marketing, your marketing position and marketing considerations right now in this in the middle of COVID and coming out of it, and how to really strategically position yourself. And then we also have Nicole Alexander, also from PatientPop, and she brings 19 years of dental experience. Conversation. So we're going to have a great blend of marketing expertise blended with dental expertise. So with that, I'll have you two take it away.
Thank you for the warm introduction, Jody and Kara. My name is James Garib. I am a sales consultant here at PatientPop. We'll talk a little bit about PatientPop, but I just wanted to say thank you guys for having us on, and I hope everyone's families and friends and coworkers are safe during this time. Today's presentation is really kind of going to go over a few different topics. First of all, who is PatientPop? What do we do? Where are we? The importance of your online presence, your reputation, search engines, the whole marketing thing. Why your practice right now may not be seeing many new patients pre and post COVID. A little bit about teledentistry. We'll have Nicole touching on a few of those. What to do now, and then we'll open it up for some questions and answers. So just to give you guys a brief background about PatientPop, who we are and what we do. We're out here in Santa Monica. We've been around since 2014. We are a software company, a software marketing company, a little bit different than most marketing companies today. Everything we do is kind of aligned with software. We have about $80 million in funding that comes from Athena Health, gave us our first round, and then some different VCs, Toba Capital, etc. With that money, we hired a bunch of people, and we invested it into the product, into the people. We hired top talent from Google, ZocDoc, Cario, Athena Health, some names that you guys have all heard of before. Currently, we have about 400 employees and close to 7,000 customers across the country. Again, our headquarters are here in Santa Monica. We have one big mission, and our big mission is to help these practices thrive. We only help market anyone in the medical, dental, and healthcare, private practices. We want to help you guys thrive. What does that mean exactly? It's about bringing you in new patients, right? The blood of a practice is new patients. Modernizing that patient experience, which we'll talk about here soon, and streamlining the front office, making sure everything's aligned inside of your office. So a little bit about marketing and online presence and what it is. So what is search engine optimization? I'm sure you guys have heard that word a few times. The best way to think about this is think about the internet as a massive spider web. Inside of this spider web, there are spiders and what they call them crawlers. And they crawl the internet and they validate the practice's name, the reputation, the speed of the website, the structure of your website, the listings, everything possible to build one key thing, and that key thing is authority. The more authority you have, the more likely you're going to pop up on that first page of Google where you're destined to be. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the patient journey and how we kind of come into that picture. So as you guys know, and everyone's probably pretty aware, everyone goes online right now to find a doctor, to find a dentist, to find some food, to look up reputation, to look up anything. Everyone's going online, they're going on Google. Google is the largest search engine in the world. So as far as the patient journey, patients, they will go online and they'll look you up. They'll either look up your practice, your name directly, they'll search for you. That's if they got referred, right? Or they might look up a service that you're offering, Invisalign, a dental crown, a bridge, anything, right? So they'll look you up and they'll start looking at different options and they'll start considering you or the next person on the list. They'll look at reputation, they'll look at your website, then maybe they'll see if you're on another website to have more information about you, and then hopefully they'll convert to becoming a patient. They'll book an appointment online, and we'll talk about why it's important to have online booking and how it affects your practice. Hopefully they'll book an appointment online, they'll get the pre-appointment automated confirmations of your appointments, the text messages and all that jazz. They'll have the appointment, which is you guys, the doctor's bread and butter, and then the post-appointment. You guys get a reputation tool. They say, hey, we had an amazing time. They leave a good reputation, and that person becomes an advocate for you online, which hopefully then in turn comes back to becoming a new patient from someone else. So today, 71% of people are going online to find their next doctor. They'll go online, they'll look you up, look up best dentist near me, dentist Santa Monica, or they'll look up a service, right? So Invisalign in Santa Monica, etc. The other 70% of people, which I'm sure lots of you guys have, is a strong referral network. That 70% will still go online after being referred to look you up, to look at your reputation, to maybe even look up your address or where you're located, maybe even see a picture of you, what you look like, etc. 51% of people right now will book someone, that they choose to have someone that has online booking and scheduling and reminders, etc. And we'll talk about convenience and how it's playing a big effect in today's world. So right now, what are some reasons maybe your practice is not attracting new patients? And this is pre and post-COVID. So let's talk about it. Your dental website. So if someone's looking you up, you might not be popping up, right? Your search engines might not be strong enough. You might not have Google Ads or anything just being aware on that search engine you're popping up. Another thing, you have not expanded your dental's web presence online. So meaning there's listings. So take Google, for example, and then multiply that by 60, 70 different listings, the Facebooks, the Instagrams, right? We want to make sure all that information is valid across all of those. This is now starting to help out build up that one thing, that authority, right? Then your patients, your practice online might not have the most reviews, right? People look at this. People are becoming very, very competitive with reputation, seeing what people are saying. You know, they're looking for validation into your practice and why you're going to be the best fit for them. And then again, no online scheduling that could possibly hurt you guys at this point. And then patients right now, there's an average of 6.8 days before their first appointment. So having that online booking tool is so, so crucial. So how do we get on that first page, right? And that's about building that strong SEO, that strong search engine optimization. As you can see here, if you're looking up telemed dentist in Santa Monica, on the left-hand side over here, this is what we call a Google pack, right? This is the local pack. It's pulling out people with very strong search engine optimization and listing them as options for you to choose from on the first page. The first thing you see over here is a Google ad, meaning these people have paid for ads to be placed right here. Then based off of strong search engine optimization, you see the next three options. So Kathy Zahidi, Santa Monica Bay Dental, Interdental Santa Monica. So you can see here, these people have very strong reputation, 5 stars, 4.9, 4.7. People are more likely to choose them, right? So how do we get up here, right? So that all entails, there's so many parts to search engines, right? How fast is your website? Is the content on your page original? The schema, it's the coding of your website. How's it being listed? Is everything correct all across the internet? Google Ads. Are you presenting Google Ads? Are you populating over here? Google Ads is actually the fastest way to rank. Budget's going to be a little bit different. You have to have a little bit more of a budget to get there tomorrow. So here's an example of a Google ad again. So if I'm looking up dentist in downtown LA, right? We're looking it up. You see this person, this person, this person are paying ads. They're putting a monthly budget every single month for them to be populated immediately. Now, some people love this, some people don't like it as much, right? It depends. Some patients like clicking it, some people don't. Reputation, right? If I'm looking up best dentist in Torrance, California, for example, people are going on, they're looking at Google, they're looking at Yelp, Health Grades, Vitals, your Facebook, anywhere that might have some reputation on you, right? So when you come time to this, where you're seeing a dentist of Torrance with a 4.8, 57 reviews, Steve Kim with 4.9, 132 reviews, and West Coast Dental of Torrance, 4.1, 276 reviews. These are all great reputation. What's going to separate you from them? So this is when people are going to go online, they're going to look at your website, they're going to look at what you're offering, read some of these reviews, see what people are saying, and build that validation to you. Social media and blogging is another way to really start spreading out that spider web and filling it up with authority. It's a great way to build your brand and continue to build your brand. I always think having a little bit of original taste on your social media and blogging is very important. Post about yourself, coming into the office with a cup of coffee and how you're starting their day. It's great to have informational posts as well. So stuff related to the services that you guys are offering. So you want to write about dental crowns or why it's important to brush your teeth X, Y, and Z times a day. All this stuff is kind of making you to become this thought leader in the community, always kind of spreading out good, positive, new information for people. And then blogs are also great for SEO. This is new content that's continuously being added to your page to build it up, make it hold more content, more information. And remember, if it's original content, Google's gonna give you more of thumbs ups. So try to avoid using anyone else's content for many different reasons. I want to talk to you about teledentistry. This is a huge, huge, huge subject right now, and I'm sure many of you are running into this, right? We talk about convenience and what are some practices doing to differentiate themselves from others. Teledentistry is one of them. I'm going to pass it over to Nicole in a second, but in the last few months, we've seen such a rise, a big tick in people just Googling telemedicine or telehealth or teledentistry. They're going online and searching for people that want to connect with their doctors. Hey, I have a toothache. Can you maybe check this out via camera? Should I get medicine? Should I do this? These are great times to think about offering this, and we'll talk to you a little bit about it here soon. The first time I actually talked to a dentist about this about a month and a half ago, he's a big prominent doctor in Hollywood, and the first thing he said was, James, wait, I didn't know for the last 25 years that I've been practicing dentistry, I could do it over a phone, right? It's kind of interesting. So I'm going to pass it over to Nicole to kind of go through it from here. Nicole Alexander has been working in the dental space for the last 19 years. And she was a dental assistant for a majority of it, right, Nicole? So please touch on a couple of things that kind of help diversify teledentistry.
Yes, thank you, James. So like James mentioned, I did start as a dental assistant. The last practice I was working at before I switched over to sales, I was assisting for an oral surgeon and orthodontist. I was a treatment care coordinator, and I was also doing marketing for the practice. While I was in that role, a PatientPop rep walked in my door, and I like to tell the story because my reaction was probably similar to most of yours when reps walk in the door. I said, no, thank you, we're not interested, and tried to shoo him out. I eventually sat down and had a presentation with him similar to what James is sharing with you today, and my mind was completely changed to the point that I wanted to work for them. I let the owner know that it's something he should sign up for. He signed his practice up back in 2017, and now he's signed up his other 2 practices recently so that he could have the same results that he experienced with his first practice. So I get this doctor that's telling James, teledentistry, how can that be done? Because I'm having those same conversations with the doctors that I work with. And I think what it's really going to take is a mind shift, kind of with anything else. Because the more that I open my mind, the more conversations that I have with dentists, the more I see opportunities for teledentistry. Obviously, the most relevant at the moment for you guys, being that your offices are closed and only seeing emergency patients, is for triaging emergencies. So I know that patients are calling you, they've got a toothache, their crown broke, you're determining if you should have that patient come into your office, if you should send them a prescription, if you should send them to a specialist. And right now is a really important time for evaluating those properly for many reasons. You don't want to unnecessarily expose yourself, your patients, or your staff to coronavirus. So I understand the need for this at the time, right now. And when you're having these phone calls with your patients, I'm not sure if everyone is aware or not, but it is possible to bill a limited or emergency exam when you're doing these phone calls. You know, your time is valuable and should be reimbursed for. And I'm going to get into a little bit with you how to code and get reimbursed from your insurance for those calls. But I think by doing it through a virtual video call versus a telephone call also adds a lot of value to your experience with the patient, because patient will then be able to share photos with you. You'll be able to have a better look at what's going on with the patient, and they'll feel comforted by being able to interact with you face to face. Now, after you're able to open your practices again, which, you know, hopefully will be soon. I know all of you are hoping to reopen your doors. There are many other applications. So virtual consults will be one, obviously for, say, an orthodontic consultation. You'll want to be able to take records if possible, but, you know, imagine if you have your assistant collect the records for that appointment, and then you can do a virtual consultation with patient where you can then pull up a ClinCheck, pull up a 3D scan, pull up the panel, pull up the photos during that call from the comfort of your home and from the comfort of the patient's home. Patient comes in for a surgery visit, maybe a gum graft. Obviously, you wouldn't be able to do maybe a wisdom tooth post-op virtually, but absolutely, you could do a tissue grafting post-op, which usually takes 5 minutes of time, but now you don't have the patient having to wait in a waiting room, take time off of work, get someone to watch their kids, and it's really convenience factor for you and the patient. I have an orthodontist that I work with, and he was ahead of the game. He had virtual consults added on his website before we even had it available. So he was very excited to get started because a majority of his patients he sees through as Invisalign patients. Now I realize you can't do records. There are limitations, of course. You can't do attachments, you can't do IPR, but there's plenty of visits where patients coming in for 5 minutes, you're just checking to see if they're on track and giving them their next sets of aligners. Now, patients will be willing to switch providers, and we have a statistic in regards to convenience. But they would be willing to switch providers for convenience like this. You know, time is money, as we know, just like chair time is money. It's very valuable. And the more that you can offer convenience like that to your patients, then the more likely they're going to choose you to be their provider. And then James, you mind going to the next slide about reimbursement? So I know, you know, this is pretty new for the dental world, but this is some information off of the ADA guidelines for getting reimbursed with teledentistry. Some of you may or may not have seen this. The code for real-time interactions, similar to what we're doing right now, when you're talking with your patient via video call, you would use the code D9995. Now, you're not going to get reimbursed for this code. You're going to send it in conjunction with your D0140, whatever procedure codes you decide to send. Insurance will reimburse you for that visit. One thing to be aware of is on your claim forms, there's a place for place of service. You're going to want to change that information as well to 02. So by having that changed, as well as including this code, you're indicating to the insurance companies that this visit was done virtually rather than in person. The other code I knew nothing about, D9996. This is like store and forward or asynchronous communication. So this would be if your assistant or referring dentist or the specialist sends you information like records or a CBCT that you review not in real time with the patient, then that's when this code would be used. And then the next slide, James. Thank you. So this doctor, he is one of my one of my customers up here in Campbell in Northern California. He is a periodontist. There are 4 periodontists within his practice, and he is a PatientPop customer. He's utilizing our telehealth, and he's a Patterson customer. His rep is Chip Ross, if any of you guys are familiar. But Dr. Jeremy Ueno has done amazing things to safely provide service for his patients. And he created this video we wanted to share with you. It shows him utilizing extra precautions as well as virtual health. So if you want to go ahead and play that, James.
We have created a comprehensive checklist of recommendations and guidelines that will be implemented at each and every stage of the patient visit. We will limit how germs can enter the office, starting from the time you call with telephone screening to recognize potential carriers. We will also offer virtual consults and virtual post-op visits to limit the amount of times you need to physically be in our office. When you arrive, we have reorganized our reception area to respect social distancing. We'll take your temperature to make sure you're not running a fever. In fact, all Ueno Center team members will be screened every single day. We have placed air filters and molecule air purifiers throughout the office. All high traffic areas, including door handles and the reception desk, will be sanitized after patient encounters and every hour by a Ueno Center team member. When you are in treatment, elevated protocols of infection control will be carried out throughout the duration of your visit to ensure your safety. This includes the installation of negative air pressure units to remove the aerosol in the air that dental procedures produce. These units, along with the air purification units in the operatories, allow for cleaner air to circulate the rooms. Our level of
So the video is a little bit longer than the clip that we've shown there, but if you can go to the next slide, James. One of my team members referred to telehealth or teledentistry as virtual PPE, and that has really stuck with me because I realized that this is one of the major concerns right now for dentists. And along with that, if you're able to offer safety and more convenience for your patients, this will be a reason for them to choose you. And as James spoke to earlier, it all ties in with what we offer through our PatientPop service, including our SEO. So when patients are searching for this convenience, we want you to be the one to be found and chosen. I think that's it, James.
Thanks, Nicole. And this is great because this all ties back to how are you differentiating yourself from the practice next door? Google right now actually released something about a week or 2 ago, boosting people that are offering telemedicine, teledentistry online on SEO rankings. So if you're doing that, you have a better chance of ranking up as well. So let's talk about that convenience point one more time. Why is it so important to offer convenience when it comes to online booking, right? If you aren't doing online booking, here are some reasons why you might want to consider it. Lots of patients, the millennials, the me's, are just expecting it by now, right? We like to go online, make it easier. People don't like calling as much. It's just expected. You go online, you can request an appointment. The second thing is it reduces the call volumes, right? Gives your staff, your upfront staff, to have the abilities to work on something else more comprehensive at that time. And it meets the needs of the busy people. We're all busy creatures right now, right? Especially during this time or when they get back into the offices. People like to go online. They get home at 6 p.m., make dinner, work out. It's 8 o'clock already, and then they realize they have to book an appointment with their dentist. They can't call because the office is closed. So if you have the ability for them to go online, pick a time. If you guys have those time slots, it allows them for so much more flexibility. And I know a lot of doctors like having that control over their calendar, which many people are doing right now is they're saying, pick a slot and we'll get back to you within 24 hours to see if that works completely, or we'll offer you another slot. Some people get worried between the book appointments and the request appointments, right? Either or is very, very beneficial for having. Great thing to have in your practice. Having that also allows you to kind of go dig deeper into your analytics. You're able to see more leads, right? What are people requesting? What times are they requesting at? What services are they requesting more of? Once you have that kind of information, you can actually utilize that to power of marketing, right? So if you see lots of people requesting at 3 p.m. for Invisaligns, you know to boost more Invisalign, right? Maybe spend a little bit more ads in Invisalign. This in total also reflects back to no-shows. We hate no-shows, right? That's the worst thing that could happen in practice. You're wasting a slot completely. Well, most of these online booking tools adapt to some sort of reminders or confirmations in texts, right? This in order returns on reminders. So great tool to have. So we've spoken for about last 25, 30 minutes on kind of some of the brief stuff of SEO, the power of it, why it's helping, what people are expecting. A couple things that I would recommend you all to do is to consider teledentistry, right? If you haven't yet, look into it. See how you can utilize it in your practice. Ask yourself, what are some ways that I could personally utilize teledentistry right now? The second thing is Google yourself. Many people haven't done that, right? Google yourself. See if you're happy with how you're looking. Are you happy with the reputation? Then I would ask you to look at all the other places online where you might be populating, right? People hold reputation in many, many different places. Figure it out. See if you're happy with that. Google the services you're offering. So if you're big on Invisalign, if you're big on dental crowns or painless dentistry, look it up. Say painless dentistry in Santa Monica. See if you're populating for that. Where are you? Are you satisfied with that? What are some things that you think are boggling that down to making sure that you're not populating? What are some of these key takeaways? The next thing is stay connected with your patients, right? Especially during this time. COVID, it's been crazy for all of us. My dentist reached out to me at the beginning of it and is staying connected throughout the whole process. Hey, how are you? Just checking in. That goes a long way, right? You're protecting your client, you're protecting your patient by just staying communicating with them. And then, of course, let me please run a free analysis for your practice. I can kind of go in depth on search engine rankings and how to differentiate yourself between you and maybe the practice next door. One big thing I want to talk about is just the overall general picture online, right? You have a brand. Be that brand inside the office and outside of the office. If you're posting on Instagram, if you're posting on LinkedIn, remember that so many people are able to see this, right? This reflects on you, the dentist, in so many ways. Keep that brand alive and make sure it's being projected elsewhere. So I want to open it up for question and answers, and we can go into depth on these questions, maybe ask questions about your practice, some different teledentistry questions. I wanted to give you enough time for everyone to at least ask a question or two. So I'm not sure how we can do this, Jody.
Back, hello. Okay, let's see. I guess we'll give people a minute to see if they want to roll up any questions. There is nothing currently in the chat.
Yeah, we'll give it a little bit of time. You can go back and kind of talk about a couple of different things as well while those kind of start.
Can you please discuss cost of SEO and marketing?
Yeah, so it's different everywhere you go, right? With PatientPop, we have different structures and things you could choose from, different packages offering that. There's different levels of SEO as well, right? The basic stuff is the content on your page, the services you're offering. Pricing can be anywhere, like depends on the company you go with. You can start at $500 a month to I've seen patients and clients pay $2,000 a month for one provider. Another big thing that I wanted to touch on as well was if you are a multi-provider clinic, make sure that every single one of your providers is being marketed correctly. What that means is if you have 5 doctors in your practice, right? Dr. Smith, Dr. Alex, etc. Each one of those doctors should have their own Google My Business. What is a Google My Business? Let's show you. I'll go back up here. This is extremely important for kind of building out that spider web we were talking about in the beginning. So this example is a Google My Business. Once you open this up, that holds their reputation, their address, their location, their hours of service. Every single one of those doctors should have that. And each one of those still holds the website. This also ties back to the website. So for 5 doctors, you have 85 plus different listings for each one. So each doctor has their own Google listing. Each doctor has their own Yelp listing, their Vitals listing, health grades, etc. Every one of those needs to be claimed. Now you're taking up loads and loads of real estate across Google. The more spots you can take up on Google, the better chances you have of populating first. The more chances of populating first, the more eyes, the more attractions you'll get on that. But to answer the question of price, it's really dependent. At PatientPop, we go by per provider. We market each single provider and tie it back to the main practice.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Hey, we've got a question here about how much does it cost to start teledentistry?
Yeah, so there's a lot of options out there right now. There's the free options, there's the Zooms, the FaceTimes, that are what we're seeing kind of like Band-Aids to this solution. A lot of doctors that I speak to think this is going to be a long-term solution forever, right? It kind of ties back to the Uber Eats, right? Have you guys ever ordered food online and gets delivered? You're like, why would I do that in the beginning? But then you do it and you're like, oh my gosh, that was so convenient. I'll spend the extra $5, $10 every time to get this food delivered. We are seeing that, and that's what a lot of these doctors that I'm speaking to are continuously thinking as well. So there are free versions online that you can utilize. However, a lot of those aren't HIPAA compliant, might not have the best security. I know like a lot of these Zooms have been like being impacted online. The last thing you'd want to do is have a patient on a call while you're doing that. Our service is about $150 a month per provider. And that offers everything from digital registration online to appointment reminders for the telemedicine feature, that is. Appointment reminders to charting to prescribing medication to entering CPT codes. And all of that you can actually pull back out and upload into your EagleSoft.
And I'm assuming HIPAA compliant.
HIPAA compliant, absolutely. Each patient would actually has their own secured vault. So if in the very, very unlikely chances there was ever a breach, you'd have to breach every single patient, which is, it's out of this world. So.
Okay. Do you have a way to pay for the appointment online?
I'm so sorry, one more time.
Do you have a way to pay for the appointment through your portal or however it works?
Yeah, so for telemedicine.
You had forms, so I was curious if you also were able to submit payments.
Yeah, so through telemedicine, you're able to charge like a copay on there. Right through that same spot where at the end of the visit you can charge them like a $20 copay, $45, etc. However much it is. The patient actually goes online and they make an account. They fill out their digital registration, so their medical histories, etc. They put in their credit card and their local pharmacy. So after the visit, if you're going to prescribe them something, you can prescribe it, goes to that pharmacy they chose. The amount of money you're going to charge at that spot, a lot of people like to charge then and there, or they can just bill it back later. Completely up to the doctor and the practice and how they want to do that. But we do give you the ability to charge cash right at that same spot.
You've got the capability. Well, that's good. I guess the question came up about does it work with Dentrix? Does it work? I mean, I guess while we're talking about that, what practice management softwares do you work with?
Yeah, great question. So as far as teledentistry, it's kind of completely separated. Teledentistry, it's its own thing. PatientPop, the foundation portion of what we do, so like the whole website building, the analytics, all that jazz. We do integrate with EagleSoft, Dentrix, Open Dental. And what that means is we're able to see what a doctor might have access to, what their calendar is open. So say they have a 5 p.m. slot, we're able to know that that's open and project that. A patient then can request that time, and that will get sent to the front office, whoever's controlling the calendar, and they have access to accept that appointment. And then you yourself would plug it into EagleSoft. The second that happens, each person that books online receives appointment reminders and a reputation tool. I'm going to talk about the reputation tool a little bit here, but reputation, since we spent so much time on it today, our tool is it's really cool. It gets sent out after each patient sees you. So about 3 hours later, you have Dentrix, EagleSoft, it gets sent out. Hey, we saw you visit the practice, would you recommend the practice? Did you have a great experience? And they hit yes, and they're taken to Google and they leave their 5-star review. We also help, back to the whole spider web of things, Google's looking at 3 main things when it comes time to reputation. The amount of reputation you have, so the quantity, how many do you have? The quality of the reputation, right? Are people leaving great in-depth reviews, or are they leaving just good doc, good experience.
So is quality just length?
Quality's length, and are they describing it, right? Like what about the practice was so good? And the third thing they look for is the dispersion. So where are these reviews going? Are they only on Yelp? Are they only on Google? Our tool kind of does a round robin in a sense, and we kind of want to spread them out all across the internet, making sure the validation all across the internet is really, really strong. Now, with that same tool, we also want to give the patients a place to, give back some feedback. Maybe their appointment wasn't necessarily the best. Maybe there was no parking. In LA, we see that all the time, right? There was no parking, I'm late to my appointment, etc. So there's a tool where they can hit no, I didn't have the best time, and I'm going to leave a feedback. It's labeled as leave feedback. And they leave their feedback, and that gets sent to the doctor, in which the doctor does the doctor thing and reaches out and kind of fixes the issue, right? Mends the problem, makes it a little bit easier for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And then we've got a question. Can we start with just hygiene for the online appointments?
So you can have online appointments scheduled however you want. With us being a per provider platform, you sign up as many providers as you want to market. So if you want to market your hygienist, sign them up. Let's market them as well. Each person that you sign up will get access to their own calendar. So you can book people for a hygiene appointment. You can book people for just a regular consult, Invisalign consult, however you guys kind of want to navigate your calendar. I know that lots of doctors and dentists love having their ability to control their calendar and how they want to do it. Having that per provider allows you to kind of do that and separate different hours and locations. Another thing I want to touch on as well is if you have multiple locations, having each provider. So remember, we talked about the Google My Businesses. I'm going to go back down and show you that. The Google My Businesses, each provider needs to have their own Google My Business for each location as well. So say you are, a doctor that has a location in Santa Monica and a location in maybe Beverly Hills, right? You want to make sure your practice is being marketed in both of those locations, and each provider, open this up, each provider is being marketed in that area as well. So think about that spider web. That's like the greatest analogy I think I've came up with, and I don't think I'll be ever able to top that. But that spider web is what you're really, really trying to control, right? The bigger the spider web, the better chances of you being found, right? So each provider being marketed, each provider's listings, each location, if you have two or three locations, needs to be marketed correctly, and all linked back to one central website. I see a lot of doctors having multiple websites, thinking that it's going to make it more powerful. Those websites actually end up competing against each other. Localize it, put it under one spot, make that really, really strong. The cool thing about the PatientPop website that we design is it's connected to software that's continuously updating. So websites in general are known as a depreciating asset, right? So you buy a car off the lot, you drive it, and then you're like, wait, I don't like this car, and you want to return it the next day. It's depreciated, right? You can't get it for that same, you can't return it for the same price. Kind of the same thing with websites. So we took a different approach with that, right? And we connected it to a software that's continuously updating. Google's algorithms change all the time, I think twice a week now. Once those change, if we're able to adapt and change to those algorithms, your website is appreciating now. So it's getting better while maybe other competitors near you are depreciating. There's just some things to think about as well.
Okay, got a few more questions and a shout out.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a current PatientPop customer and I love the reviews component. We've seen a huge spike in positive reviews and we can control the negative reviews. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you. That's amazing.
Yeah, a little shout out for you. Okay.
Oh, I like that.
If we have 2 doctors and each has 10 reviews on Yelp or Google, will it show in our website that that is together that we have 20 reviews, or are the reviews only connected to the doctor's Yelp or Google?
Yeah, so each doctor, again, this is kind of relating back to that Google My Business. So this doctor, say for example, this is Santa Monica Bay Dental, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have 5 doctors. Their practice themselves has 5 stars and 94 reviews. That's spectacular. They look amazing. That's great. Now, each one of their doctors has their own listing as well. Each one of their doctors have their own separate reviews as well. Our platform can send it directly to the doctor or the practice, but each doctor will have their own reviews on their own listings, meaning it's not going to pop up on your website as one big place. What we do in PatientPop, we'll actually scatter the internet, take the best reviews from them, and place those on the internet. So like, let's take some from Yelp and throw them on there, take some from Google, etc. And then we also have reputation that is strictly left on your website from a patient. Kind of diversifying. This is kind of talking about the dispersion aspect of things, right? Where am I going to be able to find these? Yelp is a little tricky. I'm sure a lot of you have worked with Yelp. It's a little tricky with reputation. We actually can't send reputation there. They don't allow us to. I don't think they allow anybody to. But we do send to Google, Health Grades, Vitals, Facebook, and your website. Google is the most important one. Try your hardest to build up your Google reputation, because that's where all the eyes are going, right? It's the largest search engine in the world.
Okay. You know what? I think that actually wraps up our questions.
Awesome. So the next thing I kind of want to touch base on is an analysis. So if you guys like what you saw today, I'm super, super happy to run an analysis on your practice, to show you some of the great things that are working for you and some things that we can help out. There's a link at the end of this where you can actually just click it and put in your information, and I can reach out to you. Also, my contact's in here. Feel free to reach out. But yeah, thank you guys so much. I hope you guys are all safe and healthy. And remember, you are your brand, so continue to be your brand, and pitch that everywhere you go, inside the office and outside the office, and especially with your coworkers. That has a huge say. I know a couple dental clinics here that have such a strong brand that everyone lives in it. That is who they are. They're living within that 24/7. And they won me over. I signed up with them like literally last month, and I moved out here from Long Beach not too long ago. So they won me over strictly based off of that brand and the connection inside. And if you guys can portray that to online, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, your Twitters, your websites, then you're going to have amazing, amazing success. I'm going to leave on one more note too about the website. I just keep getting these ideas that pop up. Remember, websites are great to have, but they're also machines. So you need to start thinking about your website, not as a website, but as a marketing machine. It should be bringing in revenue for you. And always, no matter who you go with for marketing, always make sure you have a way to track your return on investment. Whether it's them sending a report at the end of the month or every single day, see your analytics on your keywords, how you're populating, the services you're populating for, how many new patients, how many people called in. A lot of these companies now, we do this as well. We track the calls that come in, right? If they're a new lead or recurring lead, this way you can call them and be like, hey, we saw you called in the office. You know, I'm sure you're asking about X, Y, and Z. Would love to talk to you about it. Come in for a consult, a free consult. With that being said, once you have that information, and with EagleSoft, again, kind of we're talking about these integrations, you have access to patient emails. You take those patient emails, you're able to, one, send out massive campaigns of reputation. So that tool that gets sent out after each patient sees you, you can send that out again to different patients that you've seen maybe in the last couple of weeks. I always recommend doing that the second you get on PatientPop or anywhere. But with those same emails, you can take those and send out marketing campaigns. If you're having promotions in the office, I know I've talked to a couple of the clinics who are offering free teeth whitening with their first consult or whatever it may be, right? You can add those patient emails, and you have the ability to do so in the PatientPop platform, where you can push that out as a campaign, attract patients, book online, and bring them back in. So remember, a lot of your current business is your current business. Make sure you're utilizing those emails to bring that back into the office, right? Dentists love seeing their patients every 6 months. Utilize them, stay connected with them, and yeah, you guys are gonna be great. It's gonna be awesome.
Oh, fantastic. No, thank you so much, James and Nicole. You gave us so much strategy, so many great things to think about. Really appreciate you coming on the our Zoom here today. And yeah, and thanks again also for your generous offer of doing the website analysis for anyone that's interested.
Yes, thank you guys for your time, and I highly recommend scheduling that consultation with James. We've just touched the surface of what we do, and he can really dive deep and customize how PatientPop can specifically help your practice. So make sure to schedule that time with him. Thank you all.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon.